Hi, in today's video, I'm going to answer a question that I get from new EFL teachers and from EFL teachers who are new to teaching children. And that question is, how many games should I play in my lesson? The strategy I'm going to share with you today will work with any group of young learners, whether it's a group of just kindergartners or a group of children of mixed ages. This simple 4-step strategy will take your classes from being wild and chaotic to calm and effective in no time. And what's best is that you can start implementing this strategy right now. I know exactly how it feels to have this question because it reminds me of when I was 24 years old and just starting out as an English teacher for children. I didn't know what I was doing. I was put into a classroom simply because I was young and peppy, and the director of my school thought, oh, you'll be great with kids. Well, I can assure you, I was not that great. Now, we didn't have internet back then, but I knew a lot of other teachers and we exchanged a lot of ideas, and everyone was doing the same thing. Just get those kids up, get them moving, and have fun. Well, it didn't take long to realize that they weren't really listening to what I was saying. They were following the motions. They were doing exactly as I was doing. But they weren't really learning the language. I kind of felt more like I was babysitting in English. Now, if any of this sounds familiar to you, I feel your pain because I've been there. But just let me know that you're like me by writing the word games in the comments below. Fast forward to today, 30 years later, I've made so many mistakes along the way. Done a few good things as well, one of which was creating English is Fun for teachers like you. If you want to know more about that, it's in the description box below. Step number 1, when it comes to movement games, keep the ratio 1:3. So 1 movement game for every 3 activities that you do sitting down. Which leads us to step number 2. Rotate those seated activities. First of all, by seated activities, I'm not talking about workbooks or coloring pages, even though I know those are really big when we teach English to young children. Those we're going to call activity 0, and we're going to leave that for step number 3. Step number 2 is about rotating the alternative to the movement game. The really fun activities, but that can actually be done sitting down. And the criteria are these 3. Something to do with their hands, any type of manipulation, plasticine, paints, arts and crafts, experiments, anything where they really, literally get their hands dirty. That's a great way of learning. It gives you ample opportunity to use the language, and it's fun, just as much as running around, but they're nice and calm. Things to do with their ears, something like singing a song, creating music. Even if by creating music, you're not using any instruments besides clapping on your knees, that's fine. Any type of activity where the children come together as a group provides union. It provides a sense of belonging to the classroom that is really important when it comes to learning. And the third criteria, activities where children engage with one another, that just means a board game or a card game, some type of game, and yes, games don't have to be movement games, any type of activity where they're actually engaging with one another. That's another fantastic alternative to running around. Step 3, activity 0. These are the workbooks, the coloring pages, the exercises, maybe if you're doing some type of grammar. All of these pen to paper activities. These are what I call activity 0 because they are kind of the basis. I mean, we do them and they're not bad. There's definitely room for these activities in your lesson, but they shouldn't be the backbone of your lesson. And at the same time, they shouldn't just be completely forgotten in lieu of the games. Activity 0s should be left, in my opinion, for the beginning of your lesson, when your kids still have their energy under control and they're able to be seated doing a pen to paper type of activity for about 7 minutes or so, of course, depending on the size of your group and on the age of your group. I wouldn't put an activity 0 at the end of a lesson or after a movement game, for example. They've just got too much going on in the energy department to actually be able to concentrate and do the work that you expect of them. And step 4, don't forget your seating arrangement. Now, I know that it might seem logical to think of step 4 as step 1 because, I need to know where the kids are going to sit, right, before I actually get them doing stuff. No, I've put it at step 4 because first, I think it's really important to just go through a few lessons to see how those kids interact with one another. Taking a deep look at their characters, at their abilities, at their skills, and seeing who benefits from sitting next to someone else and who doesn't. So oftentimes I find that sitting older children next to younger children gives me fantastic behavior, but it also totally amps up the learning, because when an older child has to explain to a younger child what's going on or how to do the game, they're actually activating that learning process an extra time. So they do it once when, they learn by doing, the older child, but they also kind of go through the motions and learn again, or consolidate the learning, I should say, when they explain to the younger child. So I think for behavior reasons, I love it. For learning reasons, I love it. I really do. I don't really look at age that much. I look more at skill. So even if you don't have a class of different ages, you can still kind of see who has certain skills that are more developed with respect to someone else. So even in this situation, you can pair the children up accordingly. Another thing to keep in mind, make sure that you've got the very exuberant children kind of farther away from the other exuberant children. Otherwise, they're going to cling together and they just get stronger in numbers. You're going to want to keep best buddies separate as well, because when someone comes in with their very best friend and they're sitting next to one another, you're going to inevitably have talking, touching, laughing, and it can easily get out of hand. I have some great tips for seating arrangements, but I don't have a video about it. So if that's something you'd be interested in, just let me know down below, write seating arrangement, and I'll get cracking on a new video. So of course, movement games have to be used. Kids love them, we love them, and they're a great learning opportunity if used correctly. Too many games, however, the kids will stop listening, just imitate what you're doing, get really rowdy, get really cranky, get really tired, and moreover, you're going to feel like a failure. You're going to feel that you're not really doing anything, that you're not giving the best to your kids. They're not learning. We don't want that. We need teachers that feel good about themselves, right? Drop a heart if you can relate. So go ahead and try this 4-step strategy in your next lesson and let me know how it goes. I think you'll find that you feel much more confident in your teaching because you've got that class under control. They're not going wild. At the same time, you are providing them with fun alternatives to going wild. Your children will learn more, and when kids learn more, they feel better about themselves. And when they feel better about themselves, they learn more. So it's a win-win situation. I've got some great activities for you to try with your kids, whether it's with a group that you're meeting for the first time or with a group that you've had for a while and you want to just change things up a bit. They're called my icebreakers, and you can grab them in the link in the description box below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.